The house was still, too still, the kind of silence that presses against your ears and makes every sound feel too loud. It was a cold, foggy night when I got the call. My old friend, Saira, had been acting strangely. We hadn't spoken in years, but something about her voice, almost desperate, made me leave my apartment and head back to the small town we grew up in. I wasn't sure why, but I had a bad feeling. When I arrived at her house, it was clear something was wrong. The front door was slightly open, creaking with the wind as if someone had forgotten to shut it properly. I called her name, but there was no response. Just the unsettling sound of my voice echoing back to me. I stepped inside, the floorboards groaning under my weight. The house hadn't changed much, still filled with the same old furniture, the same dusty smell, but there was a chill in the air that wasn't just from the weather. "Saira?" I called again, walking further into the house. There was no answer, but I felt a presence. Something was there. I moved cautiously, heading upstairs. The sound of my footsteps was the only thing breaking the silence. As I reached the top of the stairs, I noticed her bedroom door was cracked open. Hesitating for only a moment, I pushed it open. Saira was sitting on the edge of her bed, her back to me. She was staring at the wall, not moving. I could feel my heart begin to race. Her hair, usually neatly tied back, hung loose, tangled and messy, like she hadn't cared for days. But it was her face that caught my attention. She was smiling, a wide, unnatural smile, stretching too far across her face. It wasn't Sarah's smile, it was wrong? I called her name again, my voice trembling now. She turned her head slowly, her eyes wide and unblinking. The smile stayed, fixed in place. She didn't say a word. I took a step forward, my breath caught in my throat. That's when I heard it. The voice. It wasn't Sarah's voice. It was deep, raspy, as though it was coming from somewhere far away. It spoke her name, but it sounded twisted, mocking. Behind her, a shadow moved. It was human-shaped, but stretched and distorted, like a figure trapped between two worlds. I stumbled back, my heart pounding, my breath coming in shallow gasps. The smile on Sarah's face stretched even further, impossibly wide. The figure behind her began to emerge more clearly, its feature blurred, but its presence undeniable. The voice, now coming from both Saira and the figure, laughed. It wasn't a laugh of joy, but one of torment, as if it found the situation more amusing than anything. I backed out of the room, unable to take my eyes off Saira. Her body remained motionless, her smile still stretched inhumanly wide. The shadow lingered behind her, dark and menacing. As I turned to leave, I heard the voice one last time, whispering softly in my ear, as if standing right behind me. "You can't leave now, it's too late." I ran from the house, slamming the door behind me. But even as I drove away, I couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed me. Something that had been waiting for Saira. And now it was coming for me. Days passed, but I couldn't forget the image of Sarah's face, twisted into that smile. I tried to call her, but the line was always dead. I couldn't shake the feeling that something dark had taken hold of her. Maybe it had been there all along, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. Or maybe it had been there since the day she first moved into that house. And I couldn't help but wonder, was I just seeing things? Was it all in my head? But then, that night, as I lay in bed, I heard a soft whisper. It came from the darkness, from just beyond the walls of my room. The voice was faint but unmistakable, It was Sarah's voice, but not hers at the same time. It was the same deep, rasping voice that had whispered to her in that house. And as the words lingered in the air, I realized something terrible. Whatever it was that had taken Sarah had come for me too. I got up, my body shaking, my heart hammering in my chest. I turned on the lights, but they flickered, the shadows in the corners of the room seeming to stretch and twist. Smile, it whispered again, louder this time, from right behind me. I turned, but no one was there. I rushed to the door, pulling it open, but as soon as I stepped into the hallway, I felt it. The air was thick, closing in around me. The smile, the same smile that had twisted Sarah's face. I could see it in the reflection of the hallway mirror. It was mine now. It was and then I heard the voice, clear and cold, just inches from my ear. Kept getting louder, kept getting louder. Sows a little bit of a taste for me. Now it's your turn. The last thing I remember was the feeling of something cold, something dark, pulling me back into the house, into the darkness where Sarah had gone. The smile, the voice, they would still hold me forever. The last thing I remember was the feeling of cold, something dark pulling me back into the house, into the darkness where Sarah had gone. The smile, the voice, they would follow me forever.